Character comparisons: Dottore versus Baizhu. Out of all the Harbingers, the Doctor, also known as Dottore or Dottore, has to be my least favorite of the bunch. I don't like him much, not even as a villain, but just because I don't like a character doesn't mean I won't do a character analysis on them. There are lots of characters in Genshin that I don't necessarily like, but I would do a character analysis of them in the future because they're still interesting characters, regardless of whether I like them or not, and someone out there probably likes them, so why not? And also, I will try to be as unbiased as possible when talking about characters that I personally don't like, nor will I be okay with spreading misconceptions about them, because every character, regardless of whether you and I like them or not, deserve to be recognized in their true form. Baizhu, on the other hand, has to be one of my favorite Liyue characters, other than like Zhongli, Xiao, Shenhe, Gaming. I like a lot of the Liyue characters. Anyways, Baizhu and Dottore had one point where people were comparing them, because before Baizhu was released, there was a misinterpretation of Chi-Chi's voice line about him. It made it sound like he was abusing her or taking advantage of her emotionally, but thankfully, most of that was pretty much cleared up by his story quest, which I recommend you check out if you haven't already. Anyways, today I will be discussing the similarities and differences of Baizhu and Dottore to see how similar or different they truly are. When it comes to similarities, it has to be the fact that they're both doctors. They both do experiments and both of them have connections to a child. In Dottore's case, many children, but that's pretty much where the similarities end. Baizhu is also rumored to be Pantalone, which is a mega high copian theory in my opinion. I generally believe them looking similar is probably just how you're reusing assets or a coincidence. What would be a fun turn of events is that if Baizhu and Pantalone were related somehow, maybe separated twins. That sounds much more interesting than them just being the same person. Unless Dottore cloned Pantalone, just like how he has clones of himself, and that one of the clones of Pantalone just happens to be Baizhu, somehow Baizhu in a way, I don't know. It's getting into like cursed theory territory. Let's get back to the characters. But if you do have some theories or ideas about why they look similar, you're more than welcome to talk about it in the comment section below. Tell us more about your theories. They also share a misconception, though Baizhu has mostly been cleared of this one. They were both labeled as pedophiles at one point. Dottore still suffers from this, which is the point of this video. This is a misconception I once believed too, not gonna lie, for Dottore, not Baizhu. Now, to the more interesting parts. The differences. While Baizhu and Dottore are both doctors that conduct experiments, how they go about doing it and why they do it is what sets them greatly apart. Let's start with Dottore. He is the number 2 harbinger of the Fatui. Considering how strong Arlenkina was, being only the 4th harbinger, only the 5th harbinger, girl please. I can't imagine how strong he's going to be. Anyways, Dottore is a doctor. At least that's what his Fatui title is. In my opinion, mad scientist sounds a lot more appropriate, but oh well. Dottore is a doctor under the Fatui, who is more known in the community for experimenting on people, specifically children, specifically Kole, which him experimenting on children is the part of him that was twisted into him being a pedophile. And while I understand that what he does isn't any better than being a pedophile, calling him a pedophile is still inaccurate to his character. He might as well be a pedophile, I hear you say, but that's not a fair argument. He has done enough horrible things. There's literally no reason to make up more bad things to add to the list. The list is long enough as is. I'm not a fan of doing character analysis on characters that aren't out yet, since we tend to have very limited information and opinions on them. But there is no proof, to my knowledge and as recording of this video, that Dottore is sexually attracted to children. Let's hope it stays that way. There's a higher chance the man is a sadist than an actual full-blown pedophile. From what I've read, his goal is to make enhanced humans, which is what got him kicked out of the academia to begin with. He wants to make humans, without visions I presume, that are stronger than gods, which is why he experimented on Kole and a bunch of other kids by giving them Adeptus residue, which obviously only caused them more harm. The Adeptus residue causes the person who take it to summon a snake-like being thing. They can summon this snake thing, this black snake thing. We saw it in the manga. Kole's Adeptus residue was sealed in her by Sino, and I wonder if they'll ever like return to that storyline for Kole. She was a very interesting character, and she was like disability representation because of her chronic illness, but then they like cured her, which is a very common trope for like any chronic illness disability representation in media to just get cured by the end of the story. So I hope they at least, talk about the other part of her that's very interesting, Adeptus residue. Anyways, Dottore experiments not only on children, but just about anyone he can get his slimy little fingers on, as we saw from the hospital doing the Sumeru Archon quest. His goal is to make humans stronger than gods by experimenting on everyone, orphans, and anyone else unlucky enough to fall into his hands. Honestly, I genuinely believe he should go from doctor to mad scientist. It is a much more accurate way of describing him. Even after all this, he's not a pedophile. Still a sick and twisted pile of garbage, but not a pedophile. With us having only one more region left before Snezhnaya, I do hope we get to see him in Natlan as well, with more involvement than he had in Sumeru. I was hoping he'd actually do more in Sumeru, but oh well. Baizhu, on the other hand, is the owner of Boo Boo Pharmacy, a well-known pharmacy in Liyue. He's a well-respected doctor, an actual doctor, and master to Chi-Chi and Gui. When it comes to his experiments, he does it on himself. Baiju's way of curing certain ailments is to give the patient his life force and to take on the ailments for himself, therefore making himself sick so he can cure the patient, also reducing his life force bit by bit. He's able to do this due to his contract with the Herb Lord, an adeptus better known as Changsheng, the snake around his neck. Baizhu is looking for a way to become immortal, but not for the usual greedy, selfish reasons. It is to keep Changsheng alive and to make sure no one will ever have to make a deal with her again. Let me explain. Changsheng makes deals with humans who are of pure heart. They have to be of pure heart so they can't misuse her powers and they can't be a child. She makes a deal with them and teaches them secret healing arts while she gets to stay alive by them being her host. It's a mutualistic symbiotic relationship. If he dies and Changsheng doesn't find another host, she will die too. But if she does find another host, that person will die young like all the other doctors that have made deals with her beforehand, like Baiju's doctor. Baiju's master, not doctor, because they keep using their life force to cure their patient because pure of heart and everything, which makes them sick and leads to them dying young. He doesn't want to put that burden on his students. He doesn't want Gui to die young by being forced to make a deal with Changsheng. Chi-Chi is not even an option in this situation. He doesn't want Changsheng to die because she couldn't find a host. He doesn't want to stop helping his patients and have Changsheng's healing arts be lost forever. He doesn't want to leave Chi-Chi all alone. This can be considered selfish because it's a whole list of wants. The things he doesn't want is still a want, in the sense that he doesn't want those things to happen. It's still a want. You know what I mean? All the things he doesn't want to happen are a list of wants of things he doesn't want to happen, if that makes any sense. But it's in an almost selfless way. It is selfish, sure. I think it's mentioned in his story quest too that technically this is selfish and naive, but it is done in such a selfless way for such a selfless reason that I think it's fair to just call him a selfless character rather than labeling him as selfish for the things he wants. If he does succeed, he will spend all eternity getting sick just to cure others, but at least Changsheng and his students won't have to suffer. Liyue will obviously have a doctor that lives forever and has a lot of access to more medical knowledge, and a lot of people would be saved from him being immortal. Chi-Chi doesn't have to worry about ever being alone again. Changsheng won't die from not having a host, and basically everyone and him, gain something from it. So yes, it's selfish, but for selfless reasons. By all accounts, Baizhu is a good doctor to his patients and a good father figure to Chi-Chi. You wanna know who's not that great a father figure? Arlen Kino. Check her out. Tell me your thoughts and opinions on Baizhu and Dottore. How do you feel about them? Did you like Baizhu before or after his story quest? And as a Dottore fan, do you believe he was a pedophile? Subscribe and see you whenever. Bye!